All right, welcome back to another episode of Momentum. I'm your host, Big Les, joined as always by former Dragons player Jake Marketo. Jakey, what's doing?
Mate, very little. Was exciting shortened round on the weekend. I thought there's some really good games. The Manly game was very close, and I thought the Cowboys turned out against your Rabbitohs really well also. So I'm looking forward to chatting some footy tonight.
It's probably the only week that I'm sort of happy I tipped against my own team. Obviously, they
Yeah.
got done on the weekend. We'll chat about that a little bit later on. But first, mate, immediately, straight off the bat, Andrew Abdo, he's resigned as the NRL CEO. What that's going to look like over the next few weeks will be super interesting, but it is a little bit of interesting timing because you've obviously got the TV rights deal that needs to be decided pretty soon. I
Yep.
know that Channel 7 and Channel 9 are sort of fighting over who, I guess, is going to grab that, but just your immediate reaction, obviously the timing of it all, and for me, it sort of reeks of PVL just sort of sliding into that role, because he was already making all the decisions anyway. It would make sense for him to just sort of take over those responsibilities. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is the timing. Like we're smack bang in the middle of the year with State of Origin coming around the corner, and one of the bosses, I suppose, decides to go to it's tennis. He took up, isn't it? Tennis Australia.
Yep.
So that's interesting. Obviously, PVL will take the number one role of making the NRL decisions. I think there will be an assistant that would probably slide in at some stage, as you need someone to bounce your ideas off, and obviously the business world with networking and all that kind of thing. So it'd be interesting to see who slots into that position. But good luck to him, mate. If anyone can get a better opportunity somewhere else in their lives to go and do something, I'm all for it. At the end of the day, you got to look after numero uno.
Yep, 100%. I'm not too across the CEO world when it comes to who can jump in there, but it will be interesting to see, as you said, if there is a guy that sort of comes in and helps PVL and is sort of the front man as that NRL CEO. Because like from outside looking in, it looked like Abdo was more of that front man. He'd come to the media obviously as the CEO and
Yep.
talk about the decisions and the reasoning behind certain decisions. PVL was the one pulling the strings, it looked like, and he made all the major decisions. And especially throughout COVID, PVL was massive, Abdo was massive. So we do wish Abdo all the best with tennis. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see, I guess, who comes in. Mate, it's my favourite time of the year. Origin time is just around the corner, only a couple of days away. Some big news, I guess, for the Blues. We'll get stuck straight in for the Blues side of things. We preview this game one. Mitch Moses, this afternoon, get off work, look at my phone, check all the NRL updates, and I see Mitch Moses has limped off the field at training. He's gone straight for scans, and it sounds like it's a grade, I think, 2 hamstring strain.
Shit.
Yeah, so I think it's 3 to 4 weeks,
Yep.
according to Brent Reid. But big loss for New South Wales. It sounds like Ethan Strange is going to slot straight into the number 6 jersey, and Matty Burton will come onto the bench. What are your thoughts? Especially with the kicking game of Moses, it's definitely going to be a bit of a strong out for us.
Yeah, obviously it is a loss. Mitch Moses is a great player, and I hope the injury isn't as bad as it's first come out. A grade 2 hem, he's anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. I'm going to guess off the top of my head. So obviously misses some games in clubland, and Parramatta do need him at this moment in time. Obviously, with rugby league, when someone's gets injured or suspension or something like that, it's an opportunity for the next person. Ethan Strange is a handy pickup. I've also seen it come across my screen today. Burton. Is he going into the team? Was Burton coming into the squad?
Burton's coming into the squad. I believe he's
Okay.
going to be a part of the 6-man bench. So Ethan Strange will start at 5'8" alongside Nathan Cleary, and then
Yep.
Burton to come onto the bench. Now, this is the one that's interesting to me, and I'm sure this is a point that I think you were about to bring up then. Burton would, for me at least, when you're going into a game with 2 halfbacks who are 2 very strong kickers, and then you look at the kicking games of both an Ethan Strange and a Burton, the most like-for-like swap that you could get out of the 2 players that have been brought up is probably Burton from a kicking perspective, because Burton's got a very strong kicking game and he can get you out of trouble. So can Moses. So I feel like that's a bit of an interesting one when it comes to, I guess, Strange coming into the side, because you've done a lot of prep throughout the week to have 2 halfbacks there. And now you're going to have an out-and-out number 6 who's a really good runner of the footy, very explosive, can be off the cuff, next to a Nathan Cleary. It is going to be a little bit different when you've prepped a different way, I guess, throughout the week. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, 100%. What I would think now is I'm looking at it as a massive opportunity for Nathan Cleary to own the whole Origin series now. He has been given, not saying they didn't have it before, but obviously Mitch Moses is a ball dominant half as well. They both are. They play really well together in Origin. But this just puts the onus straight on Nathan Cleary to do what everyone is asking him to do, which is, it blows my mind because the bloke's an absolute freak. He has an opportunity now to steer the Blues to a series win, with help obviously, but the media and everybody's going to be looking at him to see what he can do. Now, Mitch Moses isn't there. Ethan Strange, obviously, his first game of Origin coming in. Left foot kicker, strong ball carrier. I'd imagine the game plan may have to change a bit where Nathan will probably get the ball more. Maybe Ethan Strange just sits on his edge and creates the shape there and obviously takes opportunities to run the ball or pass the ball when it is presented to him. And obviously, if he sees the opportunity to kick the ball, he does have a great left foot strike. But I think Nathan will probably get the ball, anywhere from 70, 80% more, and they'll play a lot of shape off him and Yo. And it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting series now that Nathan Cleary is the ball dominant half for the New South Wales.
Well, it's funny you say that, right? Because you look back at game one last year, I think I saw it read out somewhere on a different podcast, but they were sort of going through, I guess, the stats for the two halfbacks from game one last year, Moses and Cleary, the last time they played with each other, or one of the last times.
Yep.
Cleary actually had like 20 runs or something and like double the receipts to what Moses had in that series.
Yep.
So he was still, I guess, the dominant half. And then obviously Moses was like chiming in little moments and getting a couple passes away. But Cleary was still, I guess, he's had his hands on the ball a lot more and he was taking a lot more runs than what I thought he would have, going out and actually watching the game last year. So it will be interesting to see, I guess, he does have a bit more of an explosive 5'8" that he can go to on those spread sets, as well as that genuine second receiver, as you were sort of talking about, and just be at the back of shape, creating opportunities, left foot kicker. That's going to be a big boost, I guess, for New South Wales as well, right? Having a good left kicker on that left-hand side. And the thing I love about Ethan Strange coming in is he gets to rebuild that combo with Hudson Young, which I've sort of been calling out for all year with Canberra, is to obviously move Ethan Strange back to the left-hand side and have him with Hudson Young. They get to rebuild that combination, which I'm really, really good about. And I feel good about as a Blues fan, because they're so good together, and when they do get paired up against each other, they're very with each other. Sorry, they are very dangerous. So that's going to be a massive positive when you look at obviously Burton coming in, not having those combinations. It's good that you have a guy that is familiar with his back rower, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. It's going to take, a little bit of pressure. It's going to make him less nervous. It's going to make him feel a bit more comfortable. Even though it's a different arena, to have that sort of connection with your back row at clubland and going into the rep scene now, I've got no doubt that's just going to add to his confidence going into the game. I'm not saying he won't feel nerves, but I think he'll get, what's today, Monday? He's going to get captain's run under his belt. He may get a couple more reps individually, just playing some shape with maybe the fellas who are on the bench, and he can get his passing reps in, his kicking reps in. I've got no doubt he probably has been doing that during the week as well. But obviously now he is playing. He will don the number 6, and I'm looking forward to seeing him play. And good luck to the young man.
100%. And that's the thing as well, right? So obviously with Ethan Strange coming into the starting side, being the 5'8" there, starting on that left edge. The question I throw to you is, and it goes back to what we were talking about with the kicking game, now that Ethan Strange is coming in and he probably doesn't have a very strong kicking game compared to a Moses or a Burton, is there a chance, and I'm not going to say this is going to happen, and I doubt it will, but is there a chance it'd be rough on Tolukula, but you move him back to the bench and you start Burton in the centres, move Critter out to the wing, so you have another kicking option? Or do you just stick with your guns, back yourself in with what you've got, and just run with Ethan Strange and clear his kicking options? Because if you do that, it's going to be pretty, not predictable, but it's going to be, well, I'm just going to say it, predictable who the ball's going to on last tackle for those kicks.
Yeah, that's a big shift. To make those moves on a Monday when you're playing Wednesday. I understand what you're saying. It does add another dimension to the New South Wales team, but I imagine that structure has got its reps in, and to come in and sort of maneuver it just due to the fact that Ethan Strange has come into the team probably won't happen. In saying that, the rugby league world is funny. And, we do know the ball's going to go to Nathan a lot of the time, but if you look at the Queensland team, we know Harry Grant's not going to kick it. as well as a number 9. Reece Robson technically is going to kick it. Then you've got the fullbacks. Tedesco isn't a known kicker. And at the fullback for the Queenslanders, who have we got at fullback for Queensland? Ponga's a known kicker. So, if you look at it, what you're saying can add a little bit of a dimension because Queensland technically have 3 kickers in the side. Munster's a good kicker. Sam Walker's an outstanding short game kicker, not known for his long game. Ponga may be able to come in and slot those long distance kicks. So it's going to be interesting. I think, though, mate, as I said before, I just see it as such a big opportunity for Nathan Cleary to just, shut a lot of people up and come out and do what, I don't understand why people say that he hasn't because he has won Origin Series before and played really, really well. Just to really put a stamp on this series and take New South Wales to a win.
All right, so let's just say that Burton does come off the bench. Does he come on over Blake Brayley? And if so, where does he get onto the field?
You think that would be the most logical thing? If it does happen, I would suggest Burton would strictly be there due to an injury. I think Reece Robson can push out 80 minutes. He's that type of player. If he does need to have a squirt, I've got no doubt Burton has the ability to give that 5-10 minute spurt. But other than that, I would probably say that Burton would be there due to an injury because he can slop in at centres, can go into the halves. He has the potential to be a ball-playing 13 if that would arise. But outside of that, mate, I would suggest that the 14 to the 17 will remain the same.
Well, look, looking at the weekend, obviously a little bit of a sneak peek as to what we're going to talk about a little bit later on. But the best thing about what the Dogs were doing and the best thing about their win was that Burton just decided to own the team. He ran the ball. He took opportunities. Everything that he saw, he just sort of ran for it and took it. And the best part of Burton's game is his running game. So maybe you do throw him into that 13 role. He comes on. He runs the footy. He just comes out the back of shape. I think the thing is as well with Watson, if you were to bring Connor Watson on into that role, obviously a little bit of a smaller body and not as successful in contact. What we saw on the weekend, when Burton does run the footy, he's bumping people off. He's a big body, 6'4", whatever he is. He's a big sized man. So bringing him on that lock forward role, he could probably handle it. Defensively, he's solid. And he just comes on and ball plays. But more importantly, he runs the footy. I think that would be super dangerous. But then again, with how we've structured our bench, and it's sort of the same argument that we were talking about last week when we were talking about Ethan Strange and where he comes on, you got Murray and Radley on the bench. So unless there's a change there where one of the bigger boppers drops back, it doesn't make sense to bring on Murray, Radley, and Burton at the same time.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of chopping and changing. I'm really looking forward and interested to see how they actually do use their bench because it looks like they're going to have kind of those smaller middle forwards on to probably gain some leg speed and keeping one of their big poppers out there. Not saying Isaiah is as big as Adden or anything like that, but I would like to imagine Yo will look to play 80 and your 10 and your 8 will the ones being changing, or maybe they do give Yo a break and then they can slot, your Radley or Murray into 13, the next one into the 8 or 10, and Adden obviously stays out there out on the field. I'd imagine Adden's going to play a big stint on this opening series.
Yeah, I think he will as well. It'll be interesting, this is obviously going into the following game, but you got Payne Haas to come back into this side as well. What do you
do?
Yeah, what do you do when he comes back? It's probably going to be Radley that drops out, you'd think, just to get a bit of size back on the bench. Maybe Adden drops out or Barnett drops back to the bench and you see Payne Haas start. That's going to be interesting as well. But talking strictly game one, my sort of thought process, and I mentioned it last week, but I want to run it by you again, is Radley starting and playing the first 20 minutes. And then you get your big boppers on, and you can even have Adden Fanor Blake on the bench to start the game, and then he plays the back 60 or the next 50 minutes, and then you can bring Radley on for the last 20 minutes. You can play Radley at the start, the first 15, 20 minutes, and then the back 10, 15 minutes is my sort of thinking with Radley and how I'd use him. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think they'll just stay as is, mate. I don't think there's going to be too much chopping and changing in regards to positional stuff and who's starting and who's coming off the bench. I think it'll sort of stay as is, but I do understand where you're coming from. I'm looking at the Queensland team and do you see? I just keep looking at Lindsay Collins. Do you think there's a late change there in Lindsay Collins? I just think Lindsay Collins is an out and out starter. I think he adds more if he starts rather than coming off the bench. That's the only real change I could see Queensland doing, is maybe bringing a Lindsay Collins in to start over like maybe Plath or Flegler. Obviously, I wouldn't be moving Tino. That's the only thing I can really think of. But I think New South Wales will stay the same.
I think if there is any change for Queensland, if Britton Nicker is going to play, I think he'll start. I don't see the logic of him coming off the bench because I don't think there's any impact with him coming off the bench. I don't look at Britton Nicker on the bench and go and get scared at all, really. Like, I'm not. Yeah. As a New South Welshman, I look at him coming off the bench. Especially if he's coming on in the middle, it doesn't worry me in the slightest. So if he is going to play in this game, I think you'll see Britton Nicker probably start. I mean, Billy Slater is known for making a host of changes prior to kickoff. He's done it many, many times before. There's been games where Cotter's been named to start in the front row and he's moved onto the edge and vice versa. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I think there's probably a world where Billy's favourite man, Liero, maybe starts. I can see a world where he probably starts the game and you can bring a Tino off the bench or a Flegler off the bench. But I think if there is one change, I can almost think, like, if he's going to play, he's guaranteed, he's going to be probably Nickera to come on for Cotter, and then Cotter comes on through the middle. But that's probably it. But for New South Wales, like, yeah, I don't know. I personally, like, when I'm looking at this bench, and I'm not Laurie Daly, I don't know what he's sort of thinking. Maybe it's more so to suit the modern game and the speed of the game. He's thinking get the smaller guys on when the ruck starts to fasten up, and if we get a couple 6 agains in a row, you get these guys on to fasten up the ruck. But other than that, I don't see the logic of having a Murray and Rudley on the bench. Like, for me, it's not sort of computing, like, where these guys are going to come on their roles if they do both start on the bench. I can see the logic in starting Radley for the first 20 minutes like Jake Travojevic did for Madge in Game 1 2 years ago. And he plays that first 20 minutes. He takes the sting out of the game, puts on some big hits, though, and goes berserk. And then you bring on an Adam to play bigger minutes and be that stalwart there. And then you can bring a Murray on and move Yo into the front row and play Murray at 13 as well. You still maintain that leg speed. And then Radley comes on at the back end of the game. You know, when Queensland are fatigued, you got forwards playing decent minutes. And he can come on throughout the ruck and try and make something if we're behind. So that's my sort of logic around the Blues. Like, I don't see much logic in having both Radley and Murray off the bench as two small guys. But it'll be interesting to see what Laurie actually puts out on game day. That's going to be the really interesting one. I wouldn't even be shocked for Loz if Radley doesn't play and you see Burton, and if Burton's playing at 5'8", obviously, playing off the bench, or an Ethan Strange and Brayley get used, I think there's every world where that happens as well. Again, look, agreeing with you, I don't see the logic in playing Brayley when Robson's an 80-minute hooker. Like, they're both 80-minute hookers. Origin, fast game, physical game. Like, remember the intensity of Game 3 last year and how intense that was, you know? Yeah. Watson had to come on at 9 and sort of give Robertson a spell there. So there's every world where I think they use both of those utilities and Radley doesn't get on the field as well. So I think it will obviously depend on the game and the speed of the game and how intense it is. But especially with the 6 agains, mate, it could be potentially a masterstroke here from Loz if he uses it correctly.
Yeah, there has to be some sort of mad science behind it. And, mate, there's been conjecture, and I read something the other day. Is it Ainsley, the guy that works into the NRL?
Yep.
He comes out and goes, the referees don't referee Origin different to club games. Like, mate, do you think we're stupid?
Yeah.
Like, that's just a lie. Like, we all sit there and watch the footy, mate. It is refereed different because obviously the spectacle of Origin, you want to minimise referee input, regardless if it is a penalty or not. We all know that's what happens. And we understand that the NRL is a week-to-week thing, so you need headlines, you need people getting suspended, you need to have those talking points for the show. So to come out and say that, so I just thought was very, very silly. So, but going back to the Origin, I'm looking forward to the teams and how they are used, because I think it might give us a bit of a leeway to possible changes, if not sticking with Origin 2, depending on who wins.
If New South Wales lose, what changes are you making? So Payne Haas is definitely coming back in at that
Yeah.
stage. What changes would you make?
Haas is a very obvious one, and it depends what would you do then. Like I think you gotta look at how your bench plays. Like technically, Murray and Victor are in competition with each other for game two. I would like to think, because you think Barnett will go straight back to the bench, so they'll have Saifidi depending on how he plays as your middle on there. Then you've got Barnett. You're going to have to carry, either Victor Radley or Murray in that zone. Brayley's got to see if he even gets out on the field, depending on where he plays. Connor Watson's got a couple of weeks to try and get himself back into the team. So I would imagine the only big, depending on injuries and suspensions, obviously also, Huss is the only real big one that will come back into the starting team. Depending, McLean may push for an outside back position also at some stage, I'd like to think. So there may be a little bit of chopping and changing. I would look at the Queensland team while we're on it also. The only real thing that could possibly happen if they lose is, do you see a DCE SOS?
I think, because Billy, I think they're going with the new age.
Yeah.
I think they're more likely to bring Clifford in.
Okay.
I've really enjoyed his footy. He's got a really good kicking game. You're going to probably get the same out of a Clifford in regards to the kicking game side of things than you would a DCE. Yeah. I think they already made a statement by taking DCE out last year, so I don't think they're going to jump back on that if their plan is to go to the future. It'll be interesting. We'll talk about Queensland now because they've got a very, very big magnifying glass on Sam Walker.
Yes,
because
I agree.
Because he could play a number of roles in this team. He is not a structured halfback coming in. Dearden obviously wasn't a structured halfback either. But
is that a positive though? Sorry to cut you off, but I see that as a positive because I think Munster's in that point of his career where he's actually dictating a little bit more rather than the off the cuff stuff, because he Origin just suits Cameron Munster. The bloke's an absolute genius when it comes to this level of play. Whereas I think the way Sam Walker play, and I do agree with you, is a bit like Dearden. They're very, very smart. I just think Dearden has that bit more of an understanding on when to pull the trigger on the stuff that he does. Would that make sense to you?
That's what I was going to bring up. Sam Walker's very loose. There's been stages this year where he's got tackle two, they're in good field position, and he puts a grubber through, it's too hard, and it's a 7 tackle set the other way. So Sam Walker, and I love him for it, and it could come off well in the Origin arena if he does just back himself. I love that confidence. It's very risky, and this is why, and we brought it up last week, and I want to bring it up again. It's been brought up on other podcasts now as well, funnily enough. I think I saw a reel for a podcast today that was talking similar to what we were talking about last week around Sam and how they're going to play. I think that Ponga is going to play very similar in this game to how he plays at Clubland. He's going to be the first receiver. He's going to be dictating play for me. I think him and Cam Munster are going to be the main long kickers as well. And you'll see Sam Walker out the back of shape in attack like Fletcher Sharp. I think that's what you're going to see. Sam's just going to just back himself. If he sees something, he'll play to it. There's no not for me in this team, not so much externally, because externally there's always going to be the pressure for him to be the halfback in this side, and it's what some people will expect. But in this team, around the playing group, around with Ponga and Munster in this spine pairing, there's going to be no expectation for him to be a 7, because I think that's what Callum Ponga is going to do in attack. Defensively, obviously, both of these guys will be in the front line, but in attack, I think that you'll see Sam Walker just absolutely back himself on every play. I think that you'll see him do some pretty crazy things in the Origin arena too. He's going to kick on those second tackles sometimes when they're in good field position. He's going to do the crazy things. But I think that's what they want him to do, because you'll have Ponga and Munster in the front line dictating play, and Sam Walker's going to play off the back of that and polish off those sets, whether it be the cutout pass, whether it be the grubber kick when they're in good field position. I think that's Sam Walker's role. Sam Walker's role is Fletcher Sharp.
Yeah, I said it last week. I said I would like to think Billy Slater will have Ponga as the guy they go to. I think that's where they'll be working to, is him second pass or first pass coming into the line, putting and applying a lot of pressure on the third defender and the second defender, that outside line where the back rows will be hitting that hard line on inside the three and allowing him to beat people with speed and strength. Obviously, Munster can do that also. So I think it's going to be a very deadly triangle for them with those three ball players.
It'll be really interesting, right? And I think the big thing as well with KP is they've taken a big risk in picking him over Walsh in this side too. They've backed themselves and they've picked Ponga over Walsh because Walsh is available to play. And they've gone with Ponga instead.
That is a very, very good headline too, because hopefully everyone goes through healthy and they're ready to raring to go for Origin 2. Reece Walsh has the ability now. I would 100% think he's taken it like a professional, but also very personal, because it's not like he's not playing well and it's not like he doesn't stand up in the Origin arena. It's just that the fact Kalyn Ponga is pretty much untouchable at the moment, in my opinion. So in saying that, do Queensland have the ability to fit a Reece Walsh into their team in Origin 2, even if there is no injuries or suspension? Because I don't think it's been actually talked about enough. Like, if that was New South Wales as an example where, like a player like, not saying that they would leave Nathan Cleary out, but that's the same kind of stature. They're tier one players in our competition.
Well, do you know what I mean? Do you think it's the same conversation with Tedesco being picked over Edwards? Because Edwards hasn't done anything wrong either to lose his spot. Like, he's been great too.
Now, my opinion with that, I think James Tedesco, I think we're just used to seeing him play 9.8s out of 10s for the last 12 years. And when he plays a 9.5, everyone goes, oh, he's lost it. I truly, to me, he's like two of us a shell. I've never seen him play a bad game. I honestly have never seen him play a bad game. I don't understand, and this is only my opinion, how he lost the jersey to Edwards in the first place. I think that's maybe the politics of rugby league. Now, people can debate that with me if they like. I actually don't think Tedesco should have lost the jersey in the first place, in my opinion.
Well, I think with Tedesco, particularly around the time he lost the jersey, he'd be overplaying his hand a little bit in that Roosters side. Like, he was very ball dominant. He tried to have a lot of impact on the game, and it took away from, Walker, and I think it was Luke Keary at that stage, that he was having these 30 runs a game. And they were sort of in a bit of a losing period, I think, at that stage. It might have even been the year before. Whereas Edwards is super, he just plays off the back of whatever the halves create. He's really good at the back of shape and he finishes things off really well. And I think that's why Edwards maybe jumped in for that spot. But I think with the speed of the game now, Tedesco suits it more.
If you're picking your team, are you picking James Tedesco?
I didn't pick have Tedesco on my team.
Oh my goodness gracious, mate.
I had Edwards. I've and my opinion at least, and I've had a little bit of pushback on it, but not too much, is I think, there was that starting point of the year where the Roosters obviously had lost a couple games in the row to start the year. It took a while for this DCE, Sam Walker pairing to, sort of gel, and they were in a bit of a rough patch at the start of the year. If you look back to the first couple rounds of this year, Dylan Edwards was the former fullback by a country mile. The first 5 rounds, he was blitzing it. And it's not like he's dropped off. Tedesco just went to another level.
Yeah.
He killed it. I think when you're looking at consistency this year, and sure, Tedesco had a really good 5-week period prior to Origin selection, but I think when you're looking at consistency throughout the entire season so far, from round 1 right up to round 12, Dylan Edwards, for me, has been the better fullback. And that might be, so some might push back on that, but for me, my opinion, I think Edwards has been the more consistent fullback across 12 weeks. It's not about that, obviously, and I can understand the Tedesco selection because he suits the pace of the game at the moment. He's fast, he's electric, he's a good attacker. I get the selection of Tedesco. I did have Edwards. I wanted him to have one game. And if New South Wales lost and he didn't play well, Tedesco would have been straight in.
Yeah, it's highly debatable, and everyone's going to have their views. I view Teddy as an out and out he's one of those guys that plays himself out of the jersey. In my opinion, I don't think you can take him out of it. That's just my view on it. But mate, I think it's going to be a massive talking point after game one, depending on who wins and who loses. On Reece Walsh, like it's just it. I think the next fortnight we're going to see either another 2 or 3 levels come into his game to work his way back into that team, or we're going to see someone that maybe has taken not being selected a different way. I like to think now how mature he is and how much of a professional he is, and the accolades he's already got as an individual and as a team player. We will see another couple levels, as I stated before, of Reece Walsh attempting to get himself back into that Origin jersey, whether it's at one or coming off the bench. Because, as I said before, I was a little bit gobsmacked. A, he wasn't in the team, and B, it hasn't actually been spoken about that much.
Well, let me throw this to you, right? Let's say Queensland lose.
Yep.
And let's say that Sam Walker is the scapegoat, which is very, very likely considering he's the fresh meat, right?
Yep.
We're both this. Are you on the same page as me that Callum Ponga is playing first receiver in this game?
I think he has the tendency in some shape will give him the ability to be a first receiver, but you know how I am. I'm a big believer on picking people who have already done things. That's why I wanted to chuck the DCE comment out there before, because I wouldn't see the logic from my view to move a Kalen Ponga into 7 and have him defending in the front line if he plays his normal 9.5 out of 10 in Origin, and you can make, and they do lose, Sam Walker doesn't set it alight. I just think that the SOS call, if everyone puts their egos to the side and maybe understand the situation, which I think they will, there's an opportunity for DCE to slot straight back into that 7.
Well, this is what I was sort of going to bring up. I think we're on a similar wavelength, right? Let's say Sam Walker's the scapegoat. Queensland lose. He comes out of the side. We've talked a lot about Reece Walsh and how he's going to respond over the next couple of weeks. If Reece Walsh kills it, is there any chance KP does go to 7 and Walsh goes to 1?
I don't think so. I think, right, if that were to happen, it would have happened game 1. That's what I think, because it was there to be done and it wasn't done. That's how I'm viewing it.
Yep, fair enough. It's fair enough. We'll have to wait and see what happens. We're assuming that Queensland will lose because we're New South Welshmen.
But I tell you what, I'm very nervous.
Yeah, I am as well.
Oh, fuck, it is a fucking crash on team.
Know what?
I was just been sitting here looking at it. Like, New South Wales team's gun too, but I just look at that team and I'm sort of like, oh, fuck, what?
Do you know what? You know what makes me the most nervous?
What?
It's actually Max Plath at 13.
Good play, man.
Because I feel like we've missed the trick with not playing Cam Murray starting at 13 and having that leg speed to start the game. It feels like it's something that we could have and are not doing on purpose. Whereas I think Billy's seen how good Murray was starting for the Blues in that 13 role and the ruck speed he's able to generate, and he's gone, I want that, and Max Plath is that dude, and I'm going to put him at 13. Yeah,
mate, you're not taking the real estate agent out of number 13. He plays 13 for Australia as well. That's what I call say. He looks like a real estate agent. He's firmly embedded himself into that 13 jersey at Penrith, New South Wales, and Australia. So it's going to be interesting to see how the bench is used. It's got us all confused. But I tell you what, our foots are in our mouths if New South Wales come out and it works swimmingly. Yeah,
100%. And I think there is the chance it does with the speed of the game, which I've sort of been alluding to before. But yeah, I want Murray at 13 because I feel like in the Blues team, especially when Yo has played that run hard, tackle hard sort of game, he's played his best footy for State of Origin. And when Murray's been that the 13, we've killed it as well. So it just, as I said, it feels like we're missing the trick a little bit. And it's being rubbed in by the fact that Plath is there at 13. I love the Plath at 13 shout. What are your thoughts on his selection, and what do you think? How do you think he's used?
I think I love the stories, dude. Like he's just pretty much battered his way into that team with form and effort. That's what they want in Queensland. Like he's come in. They won the Origin series last year. He's played himself into the third, like the starting role. It's not like he's coming, like he's actually put himself firmly as in the top 13 and the best lock in Queensland. Massive feat. There is some really good forwards in the Queensland selection process, and he's just put himself firmly in there. I think he'll be there for a while, just because he's one of those blokes that he's going to go out and do his job. He doesn't overcomplicate anything. He makes his tackles. He does his run. He passes the ball properly, has the ability to play 9. So he is versatile, and he's effort upon effort. And he will pull people with him, because when you see guys in hasn't come off the field yet or is doing those kind of effort plays, what it does is it makes you go, oh, okay, well, if he's doing it and he's continuing to do it, so do I. It's infectious. It rubs on people. So I'm a massive fan of him. I think it's great that I just love it when people batter their ways into teams and earn the right to be in there. Good luck to him.
Yep, 100%. I will throw a bit of a tough call at you. It's one that I sort of didn't think about before now. We were talking about if Queensland make changes before kickoff.
Yep.
I think there is every chance that we see him play the first 20 minutes hooker and then Harry Grant comes on for the back 60. Every chance. Because think about it, right? Think about it. He takes the sting out of the game at 9. It just passes off the deck. It's the simple footy. And then once New South Wales, their forwards get tired, depending on how long they're planning on playing Barnett and Adam Fennell-Blake in their opening stints, you get a Harry Grant on around tired forwards. His running game, his kicking game, he just goes electric, and he plays that back 60 and he tears New South Wales to shreds. There is every chance for me that happens just looking at Max Plath in this side. Considering he has played 9 the last couple of weeks, only last week or the week before he was moved back to 13. I think there's every chance it happens.
You're the king of chop and change, mate. Some of the stuff, what you've said, I do see it. I just, in rugby league sense, I don't see it actually happening due to the fact that I like to think what they've put forward, barring injury, obviously Miss Moses, Ethan Strange comes in.
Yeah.
That's what they're going with, and they've constructed a style of play and what they already want to do before they've even, the team gets announced. So I think they've already, I like to think these teams sort of are picked probably a week or a fortnight before they're actually put out into the media, just due to the fact that they can then break down the way that they wish to play. They're obviously in contact with the 6, 7, 9 who will be in the team, and they begin to orchestrate how they want to play, depending on weather, depending on what oval it's at the start. All those types of things come into play. But I don't see Harry Grant coming off the bench from my view, mate. But I do see where you're coming from.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Billy is loving.
I'll tell you what, if there's a bet you can put on with that, chuck 100 on it and see if you get it right, you're a genius.
We'll see. I'll have a look after this on Bear Bet. Mate, I think they're really smart in putting Cotter next to Sam Walker, especially because he's fresh and he's going on and defending on the opposite side to where he usually is on that left with Crichton. Super smart play from Billy to chuck Cotter on that right side. Next to Sammy Walker. It's probably the perfect guy to sort of protect him from what New South Wales are going to throw at him with, Hudson Young.
100%. It does create that, but it also, if New South Wales are smart, which I like to think they are, it nullifies a bit of a weakness. Like, with a back rower like that, you can overcompensate and I suppose, protect your half depending on what happens. And in those games, once you're under fatigue, if your mind is fully focused on what maybe you need to do for someone else and you lose track of what your actual role is, that will get picked apart with the likes of Nathan Cleary in that team. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It is a smart move. I do agree with you, but that's obviously something I would like to think Nathan Cleary will be definitely looking at, because the more pressure you can apply on the people around Sam Walker, not just Sam Walker, you'll be able to, I wouldn't be surprised if he just plays short a couple times just to see the reactions and the timing and all that sort of stuff. Then they start playing a little bit of different shape to try and throw their defensive line out of whack and build some momentum, possibly create a line break and then play off the back of it.
If you are the halves attacking this game for New South Wales, what edge for you is more of a spot? Is it Cotter and Sam Walker, or is it Kirk Capewell and Cameron Munster?
It depends what type of shape you would play. I think Munster has the tendency sometimes to bite and try and shut things down before they come to him. So if they can create some sort of shape at certain parts of the game where they can rectify that, I think that's definitely a little bit of a weakness that they'll have there. And what you just said there, Sam Walker obviously isn't picked in the team for being the strongest defender. Yes, he does get his body in front, but he also is a spot in the defensive line. So I've got no doubt there will be 2, 3 probably variations of shape they will be throwing at that edge. it just depends, as I said before. I don't like using the word weaknesses. I like just the ability to be able to rectify individual. I suppose not as strong, because I think they're all great players, and I don't like using that word, even though we have to sometimes. But I would definitely think that they've got certain shapes at certain periods of the game for individuals to rectify their ways of defending.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's one guy that isn't shy with his defence, and that's Ezra Mam. Does he get on the field, do you reckon?
I think he does if they're behind and they're chasing points around that 25-minute mark to go in the second half.
Well, let's say they use all 4 players.
Yep.
I think they're definitely going to use Collins, Carrigan, and I think Liero is going to get some time. Out of Nikora, Mam, or Shibasaki, you'd have to think Mam's the guy that gets the nod, right?
You would think so, but mate, if you look, Liero and Carrigan, they're both locks too. It's like Radley and Murray. So if I'm looking at Queensland's team, I'd actually don't pick Liero. To be fully honest with you, I like Collins and Carrigan. You leave Mam in case of an injury, and I would actually use Nikora, mate. That's my opinion. I think Nikora adds value in different ways. Yes, he is a dominant edge player, but maybe he wants to use that kind of fast-paced legs. He's got better leg speed than Liero. He has a great ability to play to run lines. I think that would be invaluable when you've got your two shape where you've got the middle ball player and a middle lead. Because if you are playing back all the time and you actually use Nikora on that short lead, he does run a beautiful lead. And if he doesn't go all the way through, you can play with momentum off the back of it, because it will be a legs tackle.
Would you rather then start Nikora and have Cotter off the bench? Because at least then you've got a guy that can play edge or middle.
I wouldn't chop and change like that. No.
I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there.
Mate, it's good. Throw heaps of shit out there. I like it.
Okay, Mam, if he does get on the field, where would he play?
I would like to think he would be a small lock. I don't see Harry Grant coming off the field. I think to have him out there in like a Connor Watson role, where he can just sort of come in, move the ball around a little bit if he sees an opportunity, or a slow or tired middle defender to take the line on. But I think he'll be more of that, maybe even a fourth person where they can shift the ball a little bit wider as a ball player. Yo is that for New South Wales, but I think, man, they can actually do some moving shape, not just that sort of block shape that everyone plays. But he could be doing some moving shape where Harry Grant just gets him the ball as quick as possible, and he can just sort of dart across the field, dropping, playing shorter out the back to his strike man.
I agree. I think that's exactly how he's going to be used, because you've got Plath there. It makes a lot of sense if you want to have those 2 smaller locks.
Yep.
I think he's actually been brought in because he's just had some massive shots that he's put on over the last.
He's very strong defensively.
Well, I wouldn't say strong. Like, he's, in regards to like statistics and missed tackles and whatnot, he's up there. But it's the malice in his defense. He comes out and he fucking bangs. So,
he tackles with intent. He tries to hurt you.
100%. So I think that will be sort of his thing. He'll come on and he'll go loose. He'll go loose with his defense. He'll start putting shots on. And then, as you said, he'll attack the game and just play whatever's in front of him, which I like as well. Do you think Finafuiaki was a bit unlucky to not be in this 17? Because you look at the form of Liero. You were talking about obviously not having Liero in there. Yeah. I probably don't pick Liero either based on form this year. Finafuiaki, I'd be super comfortable putting him at prop and having him just have those post-contact meters that he has at Clubland on the edge.
I do not understand how he's not starting.
Yes,
that's my view. Like, mate, I would have him before Capewell. But in saying that, there's obviously a reason why Capewell is there. Experience, been there, done it before. We understand how big the game ones are. Yeah. Capewell's, he's a proven veteran. You know what I mean? So I do understand that. But as we're saying, if we're going off form, Billy's come out and stated we're using the young guys going forward. Well, there's another example where they could have put Finiaki into what is it? Finiaki?
Finafuiaki, yep.
Yeah, I don't understand how he is actually not in the starting team, to be honest with you.
Yeah, look, I agree. I actually think, like, when you're looking at the dynamic of this team, he's probably more dangerous in the middle off the bench. That's how I'd use him, because he just, like, his post-contact meters, the way he runs the footy, super aggressive, very young, very raw. You give him 20 minutes out there and he just goes ballistic. Whereas if you play him on the edge, I think the way Queensland have played their footy previously, they have very just line running, simpleton back rowers. They've got a very simple back row. And I think Finafuiaki isn't that mould of what they've sort of gone for. They've got Cotter, who's there off the back of his defence, and they've got Capewell because he's Billy's dude. He's a set and forget thing for Billy. And he seems to go well every time he's in there. And, even game 1 last year, I think we were having a similar conversation around Capewell. Why is he picked? And then he comes out and he kills it, and he was probably the man of the match in game 1 last year. So, go.
With footy, I'm a big believer that coaches like to pick blokes they literally do not have to worry about. Right? So what I'm saying there is that there's certain aspects and personality types within rugby league where a coach may have to actually have conversations throughout the week and also game day with players, just due to the fact that he has to have, conversations reiterating what he wants from them and what he would like them to do, because they actually don't have the ability sometimes during the week to take all the information on board, which is totally normal in rugby league world. And then you've got some blokes who just know exactly what needs to be done. They've done it a million times before, so the coach is like, I don't even have to worry about him. He's actually going to do what he needs to do, and he's going to affect every single person around him. You know what I mean? So there's all these different personality types, and at this level of rugby league, the more of those guys you can have in your team, the better off you're going to be.
All right, mate. Thanks to our friends at BearBet. The Blues are the favourites at $1.66. I imagine those odds could change very soon.
That's short.
Yeah, very soon if Mitch Moses is out. I think that they'll obviously change a little bit there. The Maroons, they're paying $2.24. It obviously is in Sydney. It is in Sydney though. So that's probably why the Blues are ahead at this stage. What are you thinking, Blues, Maroons? Where are you sort of leaning in this one?
Well, if you're having a punt and you want to win money, you'd almost go the Maroons 1-12 just as a thing, as a one out there. If you're a punting man, I see New South Wales winning, but I am very nervous. But if you're a punter, the best one there with a bit of value is probably Queensland 1-12.
If you're a Tasmanian and you have no affiliation, yeah. But if you're a New South Welshman, mate, not a chance.
Oh, yeah, I'm strictly looking at it from a betting perspective. I wouldn't put money on the Blues to win because you're not getting anything back unless you put $1 million on it. But if you've got a sneaky $100 laying around, you could get a little bit back and take yourself out of dinner the next night if you felt like it.
Well, hopefully you don't get dinner. That's what we want at the end of the day. I'd rather you didn't have dinner and we win. I am going to go New South Wales anyway. I think New South Wales 1-12 is where the value's at. I think it'll be a tight game regardless. I think that New South Wales, it'll match that. I think we're gonna see the intensity match from last year. I think that intensity is probably gonna go to another level. You know what? I think the intensity will go to another level, but I don't think it's gonna last as long, strictly because of the size of the game.
Do you think Ashley Klein will fuck the game up? Do you reckon he has the ability to try and make it about himself sometimes, like he usually does in the NRL games?
I think we're going to see a fuck ton of 6-agains. I think we'll see a ton of 6-agains.
Because they don't get fatigued enough.
Yeah, which is why I don't think the intensity is going to last as long as it did in Game 3 last year when it was like 60 minutes of just bloodbath.
Yeah,
like I think with how fast the game is now and the 6-agains and. It's just going to be an absolute nightmare in regards to player fatigue, which could suit New South Wales' bench. New South Wales 1-12, I think is.
It's meant to rain Wednesday, too. That definitely comes into how you're using your bench and what times and who can play longer and who you just want to use in short spurts.
Didn't you say that last week too? If it's wet weather, it's going to be a completely different game.
My view, if it's a wet weather game, I think it plays into Queensland's hand a little bit.
It probably does, eh?
Yeah.
It probably does. I'm just trying to find the markets for BearBet. I can't find it at the moment, but once I do, I'll throw it up. Yeah. But I am going to go New South Wales 1-12 if I'm going to have a punt on this game. Mate, try scorers, what are we thinking? Who gets over the line?
I think Kohler gets one for New South Wales.
Fuck, we haven't even talked about Kohler.
I think I think that's a good thing, mate. I think he is one of those under the radar players getting in the team. I reckon he's an outstanding player.
Are you worried at all about him being on the wing rather than centre?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I'm being totally honest, I would have had McLean in the team over Kohler, but he's in there now, and like that's not taking anything away from him. That's just my personal opinion with body size, height, playing on the wing. I think Kohler could have, easily probably put himself into the centre position if that's what they were sort of looking for at stages. But you got, Crichton got put there, which I thought maybe Kohler would have got put in there with Latrell, and Crichton's obviously playing with the busted wing at the moment also.
Yeah.
I see the Hammer getting one also, but I think a Smokey, and if I think Cotter gets one, I reckon he gets one off a kick. You know how they like to play that shape from a wide end, like almost the try line, the double drop, and then you got the back row and the centres pushing through when they look to play at the back, but they actually roll one in.
Yeah.
I think if there is a line break and they do have some momentum and they do look to shift the ball, I think that sneaky little rolling play will come into play.
Especially with Sam Walker in the team, you'd have to expect.
Oh, man, and that's my point. He's got a great short kicking game. He's very precise.
100%. All right, let's get stuck into the NRL over the weekend. We'll fly through these games. There wasn't many of them.
Cool.
We'll start off with the Raiders and the Dolphins. The Dolphins get up 30 points to 22 in a little bit of a close one. But I don't know about the Raiders at the moment. They're a very strange team. Now, obviously, speaking of strange, they didn't have him. They also didn't have Hudson Young, so a couple of big outs there. Simi Sasungi also didn't play in this game. They're currently playing with Jaden Braley at lock, who got through 67 minutes of the best.
Yeah.
So they are playing with a bit of a weaker team. I do think that the fact that they're losing a lot of these forwards, it's putting a lot of pressure on Taps, and you can sort of see it too. What were your thoughts on the Raiders' performance?
Mate, one thing you can't fault the Raiders is they compete. Now, in this game, they just didn't have the strike power. Like, you look at what they did, they were in the position to win the game. I thought in certain stages of the game where I thought, you know what, they actually might pip him here at the end. The Dolphins hung tough. And if you look at it, every single outside back for the Dolphins played really well and put their hand up. Trey Fuller. Jermaine Osako has been the difference for the Dolphins in probably 3 or 4 games this year in try scoring and scoring points. He's almost scoring 50% of their points practically every game with his tries that he's scoring and kicking goals. Like, he's a massive difference for them. And I think the person individually who's reaping the rewards at the moment, due to Jeremy Marshall-King coming back in the team, is Katoa. I think Katoa is slowly building some momentum into some very silky form, and I can see that Marshall-King's bringing a lot of positive energy and a lot of calmness into that team.
That's what my point was going to be. Is Marshall-King? I was going to say Nikorima as well, but Nikorima obviously didn't even play.
Yeah.
It's been Marshall-King's just silkiness.
It's been noticeable. It's been very noticeable.
But just like when you have a combination as a halfback with your 9 and you're used to that as well, the service, how they play, what their instincts are, where you're going to get the ball, that sort of comes into play a little bit as well. And I just think Marshall-King suits Katoa to a T. Those two are hand in hand. They go really well together. So I think that he's been massive for Katoa's form, and Katoa just seems to get confidence with these guys back in the side too. Super silky.
100%. 100%. And mate, they've got the big boppers that allow them to play a bit of ad-lib footy. I watched the Dolphins play, and it almost looks at times they're like an Oz-tag team. They move the ball really well, right? They've got speed, and their big boppers, they actually create a lot of momentum for them. Now, I can't wait till they actually have Molo and Flegler starting together in that 1-2 punch. I think they've done it maybe once this year due to suspension and obviously injuries. But I think when they've got their full, strongest 1-17 out on the field, I think they can compete and knock off anyone in the competition.
I think they're a premiership threat, the Dolphins.
100%. They are a definite threat, in my opinion, if they're all healthy.
Yeah, 100%. An MVP for this game that's not going to get a lot of credit is Lemuelu. I think he's gone so under the radar, particularly with how good Finifuiaki has been.
Yes.
When he breaks the line off shape, he almost has shape of his own that he has after he breaks the line. He's so silky with the ball in hand. He's got a really good offload on him, but just his ball skills from obviously being generally an outside back. He was a winger at the Cowboys when he debuted, and he's transitioned into the back row. And he's got some beautiful hands, very, very silky. As I said, he breaks the line, and he's a passing threat and a really good spiral off him as well. But physical, really physical in contact.
Yep.
Got through 24 tackles, the best. Played the full 80 as well. So good to have a guy like Lemuelu in your back row to contrast from a tough nut in a Funafuiaki.
I'll tell you who reminds me of. Now, this is a name that you may remember or may not. Do you remember David Solomona? Where wore the headgear, had the plait out the back of his hair. He used to play at Parramatta and I think maybe one other team. Mate, he was unbelievable with the ball. And he moves like him. Solomona wasn't the fastest person, but he had this, like he was a big fella. He had this ability to have that first 2-3 steps where he could get on your outside shoulder and shimmy, but he was also he hold the ball like a tennis ball. He was like Ali Lawatiti almost. These guys have this very deft touch and they just know how to use their bodies properly and talk and twist. I think Lemuelu actually has a little bit of that, and I think the more confident he gets, I think he can sort of bring himself into that sort of era of player where they can begin to stand in tackles a little bit more. He can pop the ball over the top. He can twist and turn, and he runs that really nice line.
He's got a bit of a kicking game too as well, which I like.
Yeah,
on that edge.
He's got a bit of everything. It's great.
He's got a lot of strings to his bow. Very good player. Look, Dolphins, really good performance. Katoa was great. Trey Fuller's probably the interesting one for me. Like every time he comes in, he does well. It's just going to be really hard to leave him out in the future.
Imagine the conversations with him this week. Hey, mate, like, we got Thingy coming back. Like, I can't play even though you ran 400,000 metres on the weekend and set 2 tries up. Like, some of the conversations you got to have with him, you almost got to say sorry to him. Like, yeah, seriously, you got to be mate, sorry, you're killing it. I can't put you in the team, but.
I actually heard a yarn, and I'm not sure if this is 100%, so don't quote me on it, but I heard a yarn. He was offered $700K plus by the Super League to go over there, and he turned it down to have a development deal at the Dolphins.
Oh, geez, that's. I don't understand that. That's what he chose to do. So I'd imagine that would have that decision come down to family in some instance, to turn that amount of money down. Maybe he doesn't like the weather over there also, but like if that's how he chooses to be, my hat tips to him, mate, because I don't see too many people turning that kind of thing down.
Because I think he's 29. He's 20. Yep. He's in that at that point where it's like hasn't cracked first grade in a little bit, and it's a lot of things that some players would consider at that time.
Yeah.
But
I would like to think too, mate, because off memory, Trey Fuller is actually the first, if I remember correctly, player to come through who had been playing at the Queensland Cup Dolphins team that they actually brought up into the NRL team, because he had been playing in the Queensland Cup for 2 or 3 years and absolutely setting it a lot. And I remember the Dolphins actually plucked him up because he'd been killing it and going so well and actually brought him into the NRL team. So I would like to think there would be some kind of agreement for him if he did turn that down, that there's an opportunity to be involved in the community after rugby league or something like that and still attached to the rugby league Dolphins, because there is a really cool story behind that.
100%. What I will find interesting, and I want to get your thoughts. Let's just say there's a world, you got Herbie coming back into this side as well. He obviously was a late rule out of this game. Avarillo's going to come back as well. That's going to be interesting, that conversation. Is there a world where maybe Hammer comes back post-Origin at centre and you just have Trey at fullback?
Yes, depending on form, but in saying that too, Hammer has openly come out and stated he wants to play fullback. This is what I mean by how hard these discussions that maybe Wolfie's had to have with a couple of these blokes, because if Fuller's doing outrageous things, which Hammer also has the ability to do, but you want them all on the field at the same time, this is where you got to sit down with maybe outside backs and go, hey, boys, I'm in a bit of a pickle here and I want to see everybody's view. Do you see us being stronger with A, B, and C out there in these positions, or do we want to go with A, B, and C in these positions and this person misses the out? Or you know what I mean? Like, I think that's a conversation where you sit down with your boys and your team and you try to pick the best thing moving forward and stick with it.
100%. Look, let's move to the next game because we've got to fly through these.
Let's go.
Doggies and Storm, 30-20, the final scoreline. The Dogs get their first win in 5 weeks. And it comes off the back of probably one of the bigger calls that I've seen this year in putting Kiraz straight off the back of an injury to fullback. There was obviously issues with him in contact with his shoulder and whatnot. Putting him at fullback was a massive call. 31 runs for 297 metres. What a beast. 7 offloads. He killed it, mate. Really killed it, particularly in the second half, because Melbourne were great in the first half. You thought you look at that first half, you thought Melbourne were going to run away with that game, but bit of resilience. Burton starts to run the footy and back himself, and the Dogs just go on a bit of a rampage.
Carraz's good player, man. Really strong. And the stats show that. Big thing I just wanted to jump on the back of that you said. The Storm were up 18-6 at halftime. Now, yes, the Bulldogs may get confidence from this, but we also got to say it was a very depleted Melbourne Storm team. It'll be interesting to see how the Bulldogs go over the next 4 or 5 weeks, because I'd imagine they'd have to win close to all of them to give themselves a very healthy opportunity to play finals footy. Because I don't see a lot of the teams in the top 6-ish dropping out of it, maybe. I think that you can start to see the ladders taking a little bit of shape, and you can begin to now pinpoint a little bit more who's actually going to probably be in the finals contention, with maybe 3 teams fighting for the 8th and 7th position, in my opinion, obviously depending on suspensions and injuries. But I think the Bulldogs still have a lot of work to do.
You there?
Yeah. You there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still think the Bulldogs have a lot of work to do, is what I finished with.
Oh, yeah. All right. Sorry. I thought you were going to continue on with it.
No. I was leading you into it, brother.
Oh, good. All good. What I think with the Dogs, I'm still probably a little bit concerned around the Thompson-King dynamic. Just like I don't think we've really seen the best of what Leo Thompson can do in this forward pack. And it sort of took him a while. It sort of took him to that second stint to really have a big impact on this game through the middle of the field. Yeah. What's been your assessment of, like, I mean, he was 51 tackles in defence as well. Like, he was a beast in defence. But just in regards to their go forward and getting ascendancy and stuff, it seems like it does take him a while to get into games. I just haven't really seen how hyped up he was as a signing throughout the preseason. I haven't seen that from Leo Thompson yet. And there's been injuries, but
yes.
Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you. I think, mate, we've got to understand too, Max King's coming back from an injury and Thompson had a massive injury as well. That affects your preparation. It affects your mindset, and it's hard to gain confidence, almost a quarter of the way into the season when everyone else is sort of jacking themselves up and firing. Not to mention the Bulldogs weren't travelling that well. I think if they can begin to string some really positive games together, start coming from the back fence a bit and start laying some people out, as in building their confidence through running hard and defending hard, that's where it'll start to swing for them. I think Tupanua has been big for the Bulldogs this year. He's actually brought a lot of energy, and you can see there's a lot of venom in the way he runs and the way he tackles. I like that. I think Salmon's sort of come into his own a little bit ball playing this year. I thought he was a little bit off against the Storm on the weekend. He had 1 or 2 errors and he just didn't look like his normal self. I think Kurtman could possibly almost see his way back into the 13 jumper, maybe. I do think they're still chopping and changing a lot, but the biggest thing is that I got out of the game was Matt Burton just being allowed to do what he needed to do. I think that just sort of typifies the Bulldogs, is that he's one of those guys that you just let him be, let Galvin do what he needs to do in direction and stuff like that. And I think that's where they can start to really get some momentum. And I think Cherry has sort of put what had happened to him a couple of weeks ago to rest with the form that he's actually showing.
Yeah, 100%. What I will say on Burton, I actually disagree. I don't think it's more so been that Burton's been allowed to play the style of footy that he's played on the weekend. I think that in the last couple of games, he's waited for the ball to come to him. Yep. In this game, he's chased the ball.
Okay,
like
cool.
19 runs for 252 of the best. We haven't seen that from Burton in a little while. He was just looking for the ball. He even if it was just to have a carry and take pressure off his forwards, he was in there. He was doing that, and he was lethal with his running game as well. When he ran the footy, there was danger. But what I will say, and I know you're about to talk about Burton, I don't think Burton's performance should overshadow how good Galvin actually was in this game.
Mate, I agree. What I meant with Burton is that maybe they've been trying to make him play a different way, whereas this time he was able to do what he's actually been wanting to do. Okay. And I think, mate, Galvin's been really consistent in a losing team. If you go watch him, what he's done a lot of good things, and mate, he competes on fucking everything. I watch him. Biggest thing I watch when halves pass it is what they do if they move. Pass and move. You watch him, mate. He's passing and moving. He's telling blokes. He's playing with a lot of confidence. It's about bringing everybody else with him now.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I think that Galvin, what was interesting to see as well with the two, because Burton's been really good with the kicking game, and for the most part, especially with the long kicking game, he's been dominant. Something that stands out to me was Galvin had more kicks, and they kicked for a pretty even amount of meters. So Burton had 9 kicks for 341 meters, and Galvin had 12 kicks for 313 meters, and 2 of those were forced dropouts as well. So,
Okay.
as I said, he was a bit of a gunslinger with the way that he was kicking the footy. Really good short kicking game. Ran the ball still commandingly well, which I like as well, having 2 bigger halves that can just run the footy as well when they're under the pump a little bit. They can just take on the line and see what happens. But yeah, Galvin, 2 try assists, 2 line break assists, 3 tackle busts, 79 meters, 2 offloads, 29 tackles, and then the 313 kicking meters. No errors too, which was big for Galvin. Love that. I really enjoyed his performance in this one. And as you said, he has been really consistent over the last couple of weeks. What I actually think has been the thing that people have been pretty critical on with Galvin has probably been his defense. And I don't think it's necessarily Galvin's fault. I actually think it's because his outside men don't trust him enough to make the right defensive play. In particular, Stephen Crichton, for me at least. Watching visually when they're defending, and it was a little bit different with the Chihuahua there. It was cool to sort of see a little bit of a different combo with Critter out obviously due to Origin. But at times, visually, when you're watching Galvin closely, particularly when I went to Vegas. I went to Brisbane on the other weekend, and I was sitting in the stadium and actually watching behind them. There was a couple times there where they'd shift to that side of the field, and Critter would almost jam and get the shits because he'd want Galvin to make a different play or something, and he'd sort of jam in and try and protect Galvin or to sort of make the tackle for him, and it would open up space on the outside, and they'd actually get a bit of ascendancy through there. So I think that's probably been what people are looking at a little bit with Galvin, and I actually think defensively, he's been quite good. Missed 1 tackle on the weekend with 29 made. So his defense has been good. And it's funny that that's the case with Critter out of the side too.
Yeah. It's I see the Bulldogs, depending on if they can get it right, having a real strong finish to the year.
Yep.
Just with the way that this middle patch is sort of starting to take shape.
There's just got to be a bit more trust on their edges defensively. I think a massive in for them is going to be Viliami Kikau when he comes back into this side. Now, Preston's obviously going to be out for the next 8 weeks, 8 to 12, with a broken forearm, which is devastating. Wishing him all the best. What they do on that edge is going to be interesting because they've obviously got Satilli on one edge. Who are you throwing there if you've got to throw someone in?
On what edge?
On the right edge. Preston's out. Do you move Salmon to the edge and have man at lock?
I wouldn't move Salmon to an edge, no. I don't think Salmon would bring too much off an edge. I'm trying to think who the Kikau's still out, isn't he? He's out for a while too.
Yeah, he's out for a minute.
Yeah, they could be. Is there a younger bloke coming through that they can give an opportunity to? I'm not too the Bulldogs roster outside of probably their 17 or 18 is all.
Well, they had that Jed Reardon on the bench that played. He's a second rower. They might give him a crack. He's a 21-year-old. Mate, the guy that I've really liked from the Dogs before we move on to Storm is Jack Underhill. What a beast! Now,
man.
Now this is my favourite, right? This is probably my favourite thing of the weekend. So you think back to Magic Round against the Sharks. You think back to the week before that, Hubner tried to put a hit on Talakai and levelled him, right? Do you remember Hubner put a huge shot on Sifa Talakai and put him on the deck? The following week, Underhill tried to do the same thing, and he came off second best. He didn't look great. Underhill tried to put a huge shot on Sifa Talakai, and he just got bounced off, right? Instead of losing a bit of confidence in his defense, he goes, nah, I'm going to go again, and I'm going to pick out the smallest bloke, or at least the guy I think is a little bit of a weakness. And then he finds Alec McDonald off a hospital ball and absolutely leveled him.
That. Yeah, he got him a pearler. Both of the other fellas' feet weren't on the ground. McDonald's feet weren't on the ground, so he got him an absolute rip snorter.
Yeah, it was good stuff. I think he'll get some more minutes too. I think he'll be a key part of their rotation. I've enjoyed the footy that he's played, and defensively as well. He's a bit of a nut. Like, he's going to miss a couple tackles, but the thing is he's going to sacrifice that for a bit of aggression as well and a bit of malice. Storm, mate, any standouts for you? I think it was just, young half, young nine, didn't really go too well.
Yeah, it was. Mate, I thought they come out the gates and they set a tone early. Obviously, 18-6 at half time, but they just couldn't go on with it. Sorry, I thought Moses Leo was really good for the Storm and Fa'alongo. Fa'alongo's actually played really well the whole season for him. I thought King at patches as well. He sort of took that more of a leadership role, which I thought was really good. But they just didn't have the strike that they usually have, obviously, and that's why they ended up running out a bit of steam at the end.
Do you know what I think as well? And this is probably something that's not going to be brought up anywhere else. The thing with Munster, and you mentioned it when we were talking about him with Sam Walker, how he's matured and he can take pressure off his other half, right? Yep. I think the biggest part as to why Hughes and Munster work out so well is because they've had a sort of similar... One, they've had a really similar introduction. They both came through as fullbacks and they've transitioned into the halves. That's one thing. But two, they're both in a stage in their careers where they have the experience to take pressure off each other and organise, whereas Hughes had to be the sole organiser in this game next to a young half in Keegan Russell-Smith, who is an out-and-out number 6. And because he didn't have a Munster there, he just didn't have that licence to run. So only 5 runs for 33 run meters. And we know how good Hughes can be when he runs the footy and takes those short sides. It almost felt like he felt trapped into a bit of a structured 7 role, and it affected the way that he played. I felt like he was a bit quiet, especially in the second half. What are your thoughts? Do you think that was a little bit at play?
I think so too. And I think when Hughes isn't there, it does affect Munster also. So it's a bit of a vice versa sort of effect when they're both not actually playing together. I think Hughes takes, at times, he tries to own too much responsibility, if that makes sense. I think in this game, the best way that you can is lessen your load. And what I mean by that is that things that you wouldn't normally do that you would actually sort of rely on Munster, give it to the young fella, see how he goes. See if he turns into a bit of a diamond with a little bit of pressure. Instead of trying to probably take on a little bit more that you don't usually do, let him learn a little bit on the run also.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Look, let's move to the next game, mate. The Warriors defeat your Dragons. What I will say, there was a lot of resilience in this game from the Dragons at stages. Like they were in it. They were looking to score points. The thing that stands out to me, and I think we've said it the last couple of weeks, but I'll reiterate it, is for me, I think your young forwards are getting through so much work and they're laying a really good platform. The momentum's there, the field position's there. The attack's not there for me.
Yeah, the biggest thing I like from the game is that, regardless of what people think due to the fact of how many games we've lost, I see us getting better. And what I mean by that is harden the jersey and blokes are turning up now. Now, there's certain blokes that actually do need to start playing better. Like, that's just an out-and-out fact. There is some blokes that need to actually start pulling their finger out a little bit more and helping these blokes, because there's young blokes out there, young men in their early 20s, who are not shirking any kind of task. So this is where now it starts to get a bit hard, because the blokes that are supposed to be doing more aren't. Now, hopefully in the weeks to come, that begins to change, because these young men that are putting their hand up, and I've been watching Pacific Tonga really closely the last 2-3 weeks. He's dead set gone another level. He actually is starting to understand how fucking big he is. He's running with some venom, and he's starting to own a little bit of his role by starting in the middle, because he did want to go, then he changed, and now he's living up to it. So that's something that I really, really admire. Again, the Couchmans turned up, did exactly what they needed to do. I think Egan's starting to hit a little bit of a purple patch of form and confidence also. Hamish Stewart set up that first try with a nice little overs line, was able to get a decent offload over the top for set 2-2 to get in the corner. Like, they showed glimpses of really nice play. It's just hard when you come up to a Warriors team, against a Warriors team who've just been on fire and just know how to go. Yeah, all right, you want to play flashy, so can we? Or you want to swim around the dirt? We can do that better than you also. But the Dragons aren't far off. And I do agree with you. The attack and the outside backs need to start giving a little bit more to the foundation and the platforms that the forwards are laying them, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, they just need some more variations. Like it seems to be quite predictable shape at stages as well. Like there were some really good moments. The tries that they scored were really silky. It's just they've got to sort of go to another level. I tell you what I was going to say, I actually liked Hamish Stewart on the edge. Like the first 20 minutes of that game, he was great. Obviously, they had made him a little bit of a kick target as well. Made a couple of errors, obviously, but he's sort of fresh in that position, I believe. I don't think he's played a lot of edge. I think he's mainly been that 13. But I didn't mind him on the edge. 44 tackles, 0 missed as well. So some good signs there.
He actually looked a little bit like Ben Cray.
Mm.
I think edge is his position. He can obviously play lock, but I just think the Couchman's one in the front row and one at 13. That's sort of what is looking really, really nice at the moment. I think Hamish has the perfect kind of body type. He's tall, he's rangy, he is able to get one-on-one tackles. And as you can see, that nice little skip line, which created an offload by himself to have the awareness and the skill to do that. If that's right football and he gets those one-on-one carries, he's just going through. That's where Gutherson just be sniffing up on the outside, or Sloan. Like, I've still got a massive rap on Sloan, mate. I think he's got so much untapped potential. It's just about guiding him into confidence to be able to bring it out on the rugby league field. I really hope that they do re-sign Sloan and they are able to just tap into that jar of potential that he has there, because not many people are blessed with the agility and the way that he moves across the rugby league field. And it's just about now helping him into those that potential jar that he has.
I'll ask you. I've got two questions for you, but two different players. The first one, off the back of what you've just said, is having Sloan at fullback worth having Gutho at centre?
I think you cannot not have Clint Gutherson in your team. I think if you're going to move Clint Gutherson from fullback, he has to then be involved in some capacity in the back line. Due to the fact, he's the captain or one of the captains, the amount of experience and communication that bloke has is priceless, and he needs to be in the team in some facet. Now, if saying that, Sloan needs to be playing better than Gutherson, right? That's the only way I believe in rugby league people should be shifted, is if someone's outplaying the person that's currently there, that's when the conversation needs to happen, right? I'm not saying Sloan's playing better than Gutherson. I'm saying that if you choose to back Sloan and start helping him and guiding him into the potential that he has. Gutherson's obviously at the back end of his career, and he's already come out and stated his understanding on what needs to happen. You have to have Gutherson, I think, in a centre role. Buchanan's now injured. This now opens up the door for possibly that to happen. Sully may be out for an extended period of time due to the back spasms. This now is an opportunity. If I was Sloan, I would be getting to training early. I'd be asking someone there, whether it's the water bloke, another player, someone off the street, come out and kick the ball in the air for me, and just getting reps upon reps of high kicks, grubbers, him himself practicing coming at the back of shape and really starting to hone in and getting more reps than what they do as a team by himself, and start really implementing himself, because he has so much ability, in my opinion, to really lock down that one jersey for a long period of time if he chooses to.
I think he has for the past couple of years too. So, yeah, definitely keen to see him potentially go to another level with this opportunity. Second question, and I want to be careful how I ask this question because it might be a bit of a sour one. Do you think that if Toby Couchman was at another club that had some more wins on the board, that he'd be off the bench for the Blues at the moment?
He would. I think he was in the mix now.
He's right? In the mix now for sure.
That's what I'm saying is now you're saying because if a team is in form, it gives you a better opportunity.
Well, he's just winning games. He's looking good.
So yeah.
You know?
I would, and I'm a massive fan of him. I am content with the New South Wales bench. In saying that, would he look at a place if, say, he took Victor Radley's spot? Absolutely no chance. But I think the way that New South Wales want to play, Victor Radley brings the venom that maybe Couchman doesn't have, but Couchman offers many different other things in other areas of the game. We all know Victor Radley's a lunatic. He's going out to bash bodies, right? You got to find the balance within that. Now, Murray Couchman's more like a Murray. Great late footwork, subtle jink, can play, can offload. He's going to get through his tackle and do 1%ers. So I would like to think if you're looking at that bench, Couchman's actually up against Murray, not Victor Radley. Different style of players. But I do think it would give him a healthier chance to go back to your question. If he was in a winning team and a winning club and a winning culture, it probably may have pushed him ahead of a couple others and potentially got him a jersey in some way, if not in the squad.
All right, let's move to the Warriors. We'll fly through the Warriors. There's only two things I want to touch on. First one, and this is going to be a take, and I want to get your immediate thoughts on it. It doesn't matter who's at halfback for me. I think the Warriors can win the comp.
Massive chance. And that's and now the world's greatest player in my eyes. Two of us are Sheck season's over apparently.
Yeah, he's done his ACL.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's done his ACL. I think.
Far out. Okay, well, it's the way the Warriors are playing. They're literally just a well-oiled machine.
Can I tell you what the big thing for me, and it's so out of the blue to be saying that about a team that has been changing their halfback. The reason that I do say it is because of Shinilaris Tavita.
Oh, mate,
for me, it doesn't matter who your halfback is. He is going to get the best out of them, and then he's going to do his best as well, whether it be in defense, whether it be in attack, and they're going to get on a bit of a roll. Tamari Martin's got the experience as well in the class to polish off plays as well. But Chanel, for me, it doesn't matter if it's a Metcalf. It doesn't matter if it's Tamari Martin. It doesn't matter if it's Tanner Boyd. He just gets the best out of every single one of them. So hats off to Chanel Aristavita for his form over the last 2 seasons since he's come back from that year layoff. I think they can win the comp solely off the back of how he's playing and what he's doing for his halves.
100% agree with you. They have the ability to win it. I think they can't take too many more injuries.
Yeah.
Like just to name 3 off the bat, Tanner Boyd's obviously gone for the season. Rogers obviously gone for the season, and Metcalf. Like that's a spine there. That's a spine that can win you games of football.
Ooh.
Now,
yeah,
Tuapiki, I'll tell you the biggest thing, Tuapiki. Like we're talking about Chanel Harris Tavita. You have a look at Tuapiki. He's set those halves alight. That was the best thing I think why Tanner Boyd looked extremely good is that he was getting the ball to Tuapiki like the Knights get the ball as in Brown to Ponga in the perfect scenarios on the rugby league field due to how well the forwards are laying the platform. That's what I was implying before about well-oiled machine. They just know what they're doing, where they need to get to, what plays need to be played, and the roles and the attributes that these players have. It's just working so well. What about Wateen Zelezniak? He's in career form.
Yeah.
Some of the things he's doing on the rugby league of the field at the moment, the way he's finishing tries is amazing.
Yeah. He's been great. The forwards have been great. And one forward in particular, which I think it has to be one of the funnier things of the weekend, is Jackson Ford. Now, Laurie Daly made comments throughout the week after selection about why he picked Radley over Jackson Ford, and he said it was because of the edge cover.
Yeah.
Funny enough, Jackson Ford moves to the edge due to injury, and he did not look out of place one bit. 171 run meters. He played the full 80 minutes again this week, and he made 48 tackles. But the thing that stood out to me was the 1%ers, because every time Sloan got the ball, especially in that channel, on that where, obviously where the left back rower is, he was getting kicked into that corner constantly, that the Dragons' right corner, and Jackson Ford was there every time. Every time Jackson Ford was there to get him as well. So Jackson Ford, unbelievable. And
Dragons Junior too, might I add.
Yeah. Well, Dragons Junior. I think if the New South Wales do lose, I think it's going to be impossible to keep him out. The headlines, if you were to keep him out if New South Wales were to lose, would just be off its face.
Yeah, depending on who plays what, how people play. Obviously, Huss is going straight back in. He definitely puts himself in the mix. It's the same with Couchman, in my opinion, also, what was stated before. So maybe they're not short of forwards, and Jackson Ford has the ability to obviously now play middle, and I don't think there was any doubt on the edge. It was just something that sort of Laurie thought that he had to say to, give a positive reinforcement for Victor getting picked.
Yeah. Look, we'll quickly touch on this one because this was a poo slinger. The Manly Seagulls and the Gold Coast Titans, 12-10. What I will say about the Titans quickly is they showed heart. They were in it. It was the errors the last couple minutes that really did it for them. But they were definitely in this game, and it's a huge positive to what we were speaking about last week, which is Zane Harrison, Jaden Campbell, Keanu Kinney, Cooper Bye in that spine.
Yep.
Pasco at the 9. I'm not sure if you were watching him closely after our chat last week, but all of those guys are outstanding.
Yeah, same. I'll reiterate what I said last week. If they can keep that spine together, plus Big Tino there and Big Mo, everything, I think they will attract players to fill the other positions. Obviously, they've got players there now. I'm just reiterating that they have the ability to probably bring one or two bigger names in regards to the certain positions that they're after. I love Kinney. What a player. What a player. I've heard whispers, and I don't know if it's true, Brimson's management, or I've seen in the papers, he's unhappy at playing at centre. He's absolutely that's his position. Like, I don't know, like, that's my opinion. I'm telling you now, right? He looks better in the centre than he does playing at fullback. That's I truly, like, I've watched him play heaps because I think Brimson's a great player. He's actually an Origin caliber player. I just feel centre is his position, and if he sticks solid and maybe just tells his management to settle down a little bit, him being in that back line makes them look so much better also.
Tell me what you think about this. Do you think he's more dangerous at centre at the Titans or at fullback at the Dogs?
I think at the Titans, he's going to get the ball more. He's a strike weapon for the Titans. Like,
I don't know.
With the Bulldogs, right? Look at how they're playing. They're actually half dominant. It's not a fullback thing. That's why Tracy's there. Tracy doesn't really do too much. Tracy's just there out the back of shape sometimes, and he's an effort fullback for them. Now, you put Brimson there, he may make the Bulldogs look better in certain aspects, but I don't think it actually makes Brimson look better. I think Brimson looks outstanding playing in the settings in this Titans team at this time.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. I think it's going to happen though, mate. I think you will see him at the Dogs. I think it's going to be it's going to do it.
I don't think that's good for him individually at all, in my opinion.
Well, let's see. For Manly, the only guy I want to touch on in this entire side, even though there were some great performances, there's one bloke I want to touch on, and that is Clayton Fa'alalo. We spoke about him last week. You cannot take him out of this side. Seriously, you can't. He's your fullback.
Where does Turbo come back into this team?
It's a centre. You've got to bring him back at centre. Yeah, you can't bring him back. He has
to. But even then, mate, is it Josh Felitti?
Yeah, Josh Felitti was good as well, wasn't he? He was
Mate,
good.
Like, they've just got this crop coming through that are putting their hands up and just doing the jersey proud. Like, even though it was 12-10, I didn't think Manly were actually going to lose. I thought they had copious times to be actually open the game up. The weather sort of dictated that. And to be honest, the Titans did compete very strongly. I thought Paseka was really, really good.
Yeah.
I thought Paseka is starting to hit some really good form, and I think that's only going to help Manly, especially through this Origin period with Gigantor, who plays on the edge, and Ola Kawatu isn't in the team. Paseka puts his hand up and starts doing, a little bit more. Is only going to benefit Manly.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's pretty similar to what you were talking about with Loco as well, just in regards to, finding your body as well. Like, he's a big boy. He's got a lot of size about him. It was just about finding that confidence, which is good to see. Yeah, what's up?
Manly have the Bash brothers, like in Mighty Ducks. Have you noticed that, coming off the bench?
Yeah.
They've got Brown and Hetherington.
Yeah.
The two lunatics. They look like pit bulls frothing at the mouth. They come off the bench, mate, and they just up the ante coming from the back fence. It's the best to watch. I think they've got a really, really good front row transition happening at the moment over there.
100%. Look, let's get stuck into the last game, mate. We'll quickly touch on it and then get stuck into the tips because I've actually got to jump on another potty as well after this.
Oh, he's popular, this bloke.
I know, mate. I'm a celeb. 30 points to 18. The Cowboys beat the South Sydney Rabbitohs. I called this on the podcast. I said that the Cowboys were going to be up for this one. Tom Chester. I don't want to say Freddie's nickname for him. We'll leave that. Mate, seriously.
Go, Freddie.
Jesus, he's had some moments, hasn't he?
No, you got to love him.
Yeah. Tom Chester, though, he was outstanding. Absolutely outstanding in this game. And I'll tell you what, if Queensland lose, if Queensland lose,
Mm.
I think he comes in.
Depending on who plays, like the Hammer and Robert Toya, it's got to take them to play really bad to move them out of the centres for me, man.
I'd move Hammer to the wing and I'd put Chester in the centres.
When's Murray Talangi coming back? Is he able to be suited up for Origin 2? Does that apply pressure to their backline possibly?
Yeah. I think he's had a couple of dramas with concussion. I think that's been the thing. I think he's
so he's on a bit of a lengthy stint, is he?
Well, I'm not too sure. I think we'll see the team list today when this podcast comes out. But I think he's going to be out for maybe another week.
Yep. Now, one thing that I heard, there's a little bit of headlines and a bit of discussion around Gray being left out for Dufty.
AC joint, mate. I think it's his AC.
Okay, so what I heard was they were trying to stir the pot then. Oh, mate, how good's the Duff man go?
Can I say this? With Alex Johnston potentially going to be out because he played through this game with a PCL injury, I think there is a chance Dufty goes to the wing and you put Gray at fullback because then you're getting the best of both worlds with the yardage carries. Like with how effective Dufty has been bringing the ball back, he broke the record for most meters in a game in this one. In an NRL game at least. I know Manu's got the record international wise, but 329 run meters, 107 post contact. Like, if you can get that,
he's in the team somewhere. He has to be.
And then but if you get that, and then you get Jaya Gray doing what he does, getting the 200 plus meters. I think that's perfect. And then when Campbell Graham comes back, you get Campbell Graham doing what he does with his tough yardage. Like that's
Latrell's back as well.
Yeah, like that's. Really, yeah. The good thing about having Latrell at centre is he's going to be able to get Dufty quality ball, and Dufty's quick enough to finish just as well as Johnson.
He can create things off the back 100%. I thought Penatani was very good and unlucky to hurt his hamstring towards the back end of the game. I thought he was very, very strong.
Yeah, he's a good player. Really good player, Penatani. His sister, Tiana, plays in the NRLW for the Sharkies as well. Actually, speaking of NRLW, I want to give a shout out. Our good co-host, Sophie Curtin, she's signed with the Rabbitohs.
Oh, how good!
Yeah, she's with the Bunnies now. So her and her sister are both at the Bunnies, I believe, on a little contract there. So it'd be good to see her play next year. Yeah, really, really good stuff. I was talking to Sophie the other night because I saw her TikTok while I was on the Momentum TikTok posting stuff.
Yeah.
She was training in South Kid. I was like, have you signed with South and not told anyone? She goes, yep. I was like, oh, fucking hell. Well, I hope it's okay to announce it. But she's signed with the Bunnies. So good stuff there, Soph. But yeah, Talanoa, he's a beast. He's always been a beast. I think he's going to be a guy that you'll see take over in the centres once Whiten retires. I think that he'll be that next guy up. So that'll be good to see. I think our whole back five went well, to be fair. I
agree, man. They look. Mate, if Alex Johnson scores that first try that he got disallowed, and I thought he almost broke his neck. Did you see that? He landed very awkwardly on the back of his head.
Yeah.
If he scores that, they get themselves back in the game because he does end up getting Tommy Chester actually great competing to stop that the second effort try. If they get those two tries, mate, they're actually, I think, ahead depending on the goal kicks at that period of the game. So the effort areas that the Cowboys showed actually end up winning the game.
Yeah, I think so too. To be fair, I think that the Cowboys had us with their defense. Like with how ruthless they were defensively, I think they probably had us in a bit of a chokehold. So yeah, look, it's tough to say, and I saw this coming because Jason Taumalolo, he's had some really big weeks. He's been moved back into that 13 jersey where he's found home the last couple seasons. Like it was a milestone game, I think, for one of the boys there at the Cowboys, and Liam Sutton's been really good next to Cliff. I thought both those boys played well, mate. Reid Marnie, our man. Reid Marnie. He's going to be, like, you obviously pretty high on Sonny Luke. I think Sonny Luke's going to be very unlucky when he comes back from injury because I think Marnie's going to play 80 minutes for them now. He was unbelievable on the weekend. Yeah,
he's in a nice little purple patch, mate. He's going well.
Yeah, doing good things. All right, let's get stuck into the tips brought to you by our good friends at BearBet. A few less games, obviously, with a couple of teams on the bye. You got the Dolphins, the Rabbitohs, and the Gold Coast Titans on the bye. Not great for my super coach, but we digress. Let's get stuck into the tips, mate. Sharks and Seagulls, where are you going to go?
I'm going to go the Sharks.
Alrighty, the Knights and the Eels.
Knights.
Tigers and Bulldogs.
Tigers.
Storm and Roosters.
Roosters.
Alrighty. Broncos and Dragons.
Fuck, the Dragons are paying $6.40. You have to go to the Broncos. I think they'll be better too. The Dragons for building a bit of momentum.
What about you wanting to buy yourself dinner? Where's that gone?
It's just that's too hard.
Yeah.
Origin's different. Origin's different. Queensland are paying $2.26 head to head. That's ridiculous.
It's Broncos, mind you, without Staggs and Carrigan too. So they're going to be without troops.
Yeah, but no, they'll be back. Isn't Origin this Wednesday?
Yeah, I don't know if they'll back up.
Still, there's a lot of strike, man. Man will play.
Yeah, okay.
They've still got a lot there.
Raiders and Cowboys.
Cowboys.
And then the Panthers are taking on the Wars.
Oh, good game.
Yeah, good game.
I'm going to go to the Warriors there.
Yep. All right, no worries. That's another week of momentum. Guys, bit of a longer episode with the Origin preview, but thanks for sticking around. Make sure with Breathies and far out, I forgot the name. Is just On Track Meals. On Track Meals. Thanks, Jakey, for saving me there. On Track Meals and Breathies. Get your codes 10% off with code MOMENTUM. We will see you guys in the next one.